He's a two-division world champion, a fighter with fists like stone and a name that strikes fear into the hearts of his opponents. But Alex Pereira's rise to greatness didn't start in the bright lights of the UFC. To find out how he managed to become the fastest fighter in UFC history to win championships in two different weight divisions, we have to go back to the slums of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Life was far from easy for Alex and his family, as they faced constant struggles to make ends meet.
Não tinha uma condição de vida legal.
By the age of 12, Alex left school to work at a local tire shop and support his family. However, it was there that he would face one of the toughest challenges of his life. At just 13, Alex spent long days working alongside adult co-workers who introduced him to some bad habits, such as drinking alcohol.
Nessa época aí que eu tava, já perdidão mesmo, eu bebia quase litro por dia.
In his early 20s, after years of heavy drinking, Alex began to ask himself, how can I quit drinking? That's when he turned to kickboxing. Within just a few years, Alex became the Brazilian kickboxing champion, yet his battle with alcohol continued.
Mas assim, não foi tipo, comecei a lutar, parei de beber. Eu fiquei 4 anos treinando e bebendo.
However, when Alex lost his fight against Jason Wilness, it became obvious that alcohol was holding him back in his career. That's when his coach, Balakwa, shared a remedy that he learned from his indigenous ancestors, something he believed could help Alex recover from the damage caused by alcohol. Alex committed to quitting drinking, and his efforts paid off. By 2014, he was competing in the Glory Kickboxing organization, which meant he had to compete against the best fighters in the world. Alex, however, thrived under pressure.
Todas as lutas que eu ganhei, tudo no primeiro round. Então foi menos de 2 minutos. Todas.
Todas?
Por nocaute.
Alex not only secured multiple successful title defenses, but also made history in Glory as the first fighter to simultaneously hold championships in 2 different weight classes. And during his rise to success in Glory Kickboxing, Alex faced Israel Adesanya, a fighter who would greatly influence his legacy. Adesanya approached his first ever fight against Pereira with confidence, showcasing his unorthodox footwork in counter-striking. And by the end, he believed he had proven himself the better man. But the judges disagreed, awarding the decision victory to Pereira.
Although you lost, a lot of people thought you should have won the decision.
I won the fight.
However, their rivalry was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. In their rematch in 2017, Adesanya entered the fight determined to avenge his previous loss. Early on, he seemed to dominate, even landing a clean punch on Pereira in the second round. However, the referee stepped in with a standing count, giving Pereira crucial time to recover. By the third round, Pereira closed the distance and delivered a perfectly timed left hook, knocking Adesanya out cold.
That was my first only ever knockout loss.
Over the next few years, Pereira continued his streak by knocking out several other top-tier opponents. He then moved up to light heavyweight, where he faced Artem Bakitov for a second championship belt, securing the victory by split decision. Meanwhile, Adesanya was dominating in the UFC, winning fight after fight, climbing the ranks, and ultimately claiming the UFC middleweight championship with a second-round KO against Robert Whittaker. As Pereira gradually shifted from kickboxing to MMA, former UFC champion Glover invited him to train at Texera MMA and Fitness in Danbury, Connecticut. Glover's gym was well suited for Pereira, offering a focus on grappling and wrestling, as Pereira was already one of the most feared strikers in the world. But then,
at the end of the day, no one knows who the he is, and he's gonna be that guy when I'm world champion, when I'm a legend. He's gonna be at some pub, talking some shit about, I beat that guy one time.
Pereira caught the UFC's attention with a powerful left hook knockout in LFA. But it was Israel Adesanya's comment in that interview that lit a fire in Pereira, motivating him to chase Adesanya in the UFC and fully dedicate himself to transitioning to MMA.
Hello guys, now it's official. UFC, thank you. I'm so happy to be part of the family.
If Izzy just shut the fuck up he would have stayed where he was.
November 2021, Pereira makes his debut in the UFC.
You want to talk about a guy with ridiculous power. That's Alex Pereira.
The truth is,
After his impressive knockout, Pereira secured another win against fellow Brazilian middleweight Bruno Silva. This victory set the stage for him to fight Sean Strickland, the 4th-ranked middleweight, on the same card as his best friend Israel Adesanya.
My official prediction, Sean Strickland versus Alex Pereira. Guys, I'm taking Sean Strickland.
So don't tell me just because you're some big Brazilian, you knocked out Izzy 20 years ago, that I can't stand with you. You're genetically gifted. If you were a normal sized human being, you wouldn't even be here. Your style sucks.
While Pereira delivered a knockout against Strickland, Adesanya effortlessly dominated Cannonier to secure the win.
We know who's next. That Poha.
November 12, 2022, UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya faces Alex Pereira for the 3rd time. A rivalry that began in glory kickboxing and still remains unsettled.
Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira is one of the most interesting matches in UFC history.
Adesanya directly showed why he's the champion, landing a powerful combination that nearly finished him before the bell saved him. Pereira recovered well, but when the 5th round arrived, Pereira was down 3 rounds to 1. Alex had 5 minutes to become the champion. Knocking him out was the only possibility to win.
5th and final round.
here's
that left hook.
Here to bed.
And now a right. Adesanya's on one way. 2 more. Down goes the champion. Pereira trying to close the show. That'll do it.
He did it again.
Alex Pereira, the undisputed middleweight champion.
Pereira always believed he was destined to become a UFC champion, and this victory over Adesanya, marking his 3rd win against him, is just the beginning of his legacy.
It's another great story for him, but it's not over. This is still war.
Se você for o campeão, você vai dar uma revanche pro Adesanya?
Eu luto com quantas vezes ele quiser. Pra mim.
The rematch was booked quickly, with all the pressure on the former champion.
This fight, like I've said, this is my 8-mile moment. This is it. One more shot at this. I put everything on my back. I've done everything in my power to make sure I do the worst thing to this man this weekend. I'm done with this talking shit. You guys want to hear me talk or you want to hear me fight?
And for you, Izzy, on Saturday, what is most important to you? Is it about regaining the UFC title and being world champion again, or is it simply beating
the belt? I'm coming for his head.
On April 8th, 2023, Miami, the 2 fighters faced off for the 4th time. Pereira came out strong, applying pressure with powerful kicks and punches. Pereira had Adesanya backed against the cage, making it seem like he was about to win again, until Adesanya saw an opening. Alex's journey in the UFC was far from over. It was just beginning. Standing tall at 6'4", with a massive frame, he was among the largest middleweights in the division.
On the scale, he doesn't look super sucked in, doesn't look like he just got done cutting 20 pounds, but that motherfucker is so massive.
Alex had to undergo significant weight cuts to make the middleweight limit of 185 pounds. As he got older, these cuts became progressively harder. Moving up to light heavyweight allowed him to compete closer to his natural weight. So he made this transition to face Jan Blachowicz, the only other fighter at the time to have defeated Adesanya.
Blachowicz versus Pereira. Guys, is there a greater fight you can think of?
The winner of this fight would also be next in line for the light heavyweight belt.
They're both going to be in there with an opportunity to beat a world champion.
Right from the start, Blachowicz secured a takedown and controlled Pereira on the ground for most of the 1st round. As the fight went on, Pereira effectively defended against the grappling and delivered the more powerful strikes, ultimately earning a split decision victory by winning 2 of the 3 rounds. This victory set him up for a title fight against real-life warrior Jiri Prochazka.
He's an odd duck. He's strange. He's very different.
Just like Alex, Jiri also captured the belt in record time, achieving it after just 3 fights. one of which was against Alex's coach, Glover Teixeira. Pereira winning against Yuri would avenge Glover's loss.
Yuri fights so strange. There's nobody like him.
Prohaska. Remember that name, Prohaska. I'll remind you.
Pereira established control early in the fight, focusing on Prohaska's legs with powerful kicks. Prohaska responded with impactful strikes across the first and second rounds. However, during the second round, Pereira turned the momentum in his favor with a crushing right hand left hook combination, followed by ground strikes. Pereira wins and claims the light heavyweight belt, becoming the fastest fighter ever to be a UFC champion in 2 divisions.
2 division champion, just a handful of fights in the UFC.
Instant Hall of Famer in my mind.
Instant Hall of Fame.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pereira used his post-fight interview to praise Adesanya on the mic rather than celebrating his victory.
Say that I was going to be a guy that just stay in the bar, so that motivated me, and he rescued me from a bar to be here today.
After crediting Adesanya, Joe Rogan brought up Jamahal Hill as a potential next opponent for Alex Pereira. This eventually confirmed that Pereira's first light heavyweight title defense would be against Hill. Hill was the UFC light heavyweight champion who never lost his belt, but had to vacate it because of an injury.
Why, going against Jamal Hill, the champion who never lost the belt, would for the first time ever Pereira be the favorite?
Jamal's a one-punch knockout striker at light heavyweight for sure, and he's a big, tall dude, and he knows movement. He's dangerous, man. People underestimate him for some strange reason.
Whenever I do fight him, standing, I will knock him out.
The main event of UFC 300 kicked off with both fighters exchanging leg kicks. At one point, Hill landed a low blow on Pereira, which caused the referee to pause the fight. However, Pereira intervened, signaling for the fight to continue. Moments later, he delivered a powerful left hook that dropped Hill. Alex Pereira had already established himself as a 2-division champion, defeating several former champions. With his legacy solidified, many wondered what was next for him. However, the situation changed when Conor McGregor was injured, forcing the cancellation of his highly anticipated fight with Michael Chandler, which was scheduled to headline UFC 303. In response, Pereira, who had recently defended his light heavyweight title at UFC 300, agreed to take on Jiří Procházka on short notice, stepping in to save the main event.
He almost moves around like a guy who wouldn't be good, but he's really good.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
confusing.
UFC 303, Las Vegas, Nevada. Pereira started strong, using his sharp leg kicks to disrupt Procházka's movement. Procházka tried to push forward, but found himself repeatedly countered by Pereira's strikes. Then, in the final seconds of the opening round, Pereira landed a massive left hook that dropped Procházka, who got saved by the bell. But early in the second round, Pereira landed a perfectly timed switch kick that stunned Procházka.
Alex is built different. He is Thanos. Literally just collecting fucking stones, infinity stones.
He's that guy. He's a savage, man. The guy's an absolute stud.
But if Izzy would have just shut up, this dude would have stayed in Brazil.
Alex Pereira entered the UFC with one goal in mind: to chase Israel Adesanya. Yet, this rivalry did more than define their careers. It propelled both fighters to legendary status in the world of combat sports. Pereira didn't just step into the octagon to compete. He stepped in to make history. By defeating Adesanya in a high-stakes UFC title fight, he achieved what few fighters could even dream of, securing his place among the all-time greats of the sport.
If you just look on record of accomplishments against champions, you kind of have to put Alex Pereira already in the conversation of potential greatest of all time.
But one thing is certain: his legacy extends far beyond titles and knockouts, and his journey is far from over. There is still much more to come from him.